Integration with other systems. Different systems will work better if they are integrated together as one system. Maintenance will be less expensive because waste from one part of the system can be used as a resource in another part of the system. Rice paddies with ducks. Ducks can be used to clean the paddies after harvest, and at the same time they will fertilize the soil. Ducks can be easily directed from one paddy patch to another using movable fences. The ducks can be kept in the paddies for short or long periods of time. This will depend on the farmer's needs, the number of ducks, the size of the rice paddy, and the number of crops per year. Trees with annual crops. Small fruit trees and legumes can be grown with grains and vegetables. The trees can be harvested to add variety to crops. Trees can be grown in rows or in small groups around the cropland. Animals with crops. Animals grazed on croplands after harvest will help to fertilize the soil. Don't leave buffalo or cow in one spot for too long, because this could cause soil compaction. Legume trees planted in rows can be used as living fences for animal grazing. Rice paddies with fish. Mina Paddy. With careful management, fish can be kept in rice paddy water channels and in the rice paddies at certain times of the year. For more information about this technique, see Module 11, Aquaculture. Ponds with croplands. Water from aquaculture ponds is nutrient-rich and should not be wasted. Swales, terraces, and paddies can be used to catch and store overflow water, and this water can then be used to fertilize vegetables and trees. Natural pest management. It is best to prevent pest problems before they occur. A healthy system with healthy, nutrient-rich soil will experience far fewer pest and disease problems. There are many natural pest predators and natural pesticides which can be used if problems do occur. For more information about natural pest and disease management, see Module 9, Integrated Pest Management. Weed management. Weeds are an issue which strongly affects agriculture. If weeds are not controlled, crop production will decrease. Weeds use nutrients and water from the soil, so they are competing with the main crops. However, if weeds are used as mulch, some nutrients and water will be returned to the soil. Don't burn weeds, because if weeds burn, their benefits will also burn. Some weed management techniques. Use mulch to cover the soil. The thicker the mulch layer, the less weeds will grow. Grow ground cover crops like pumpkin or beans to block out sunlight which weeds need to grow. Plowing the ground before planting will turn most weeds into the soil. Clear away annual weeds. Use animal labor to clear weeds. Animals will receive food from weeds, and the soil will receive manure from the animals. Remove weeds before weed seeds form. This technique works well for perennial weeds. Control irrigation. The more directed water is, the less weeds will receive water. People pipe irrigation is the best because only main crops will receive water. System of rice intensification, SRI. SRI is a method for increasing rice production. This method is already being used in many countries, including Indonesia. Indonesia is what this guide is geared towards. Using this method, rice crop yields can double in comparison to other methods. Besides increasing production, SRI provides many other benefits such as less water usage, saves seeds, is environmentally friendly, and it needs far fewer external inputs. Remember, SRI stands for System of Rice Intensification. SRI can be used on large or small rice fields. It does not need new machinery, tools, or special fertilizers. This method has been successful both with traditional seed varieties and non-traditional seed varieties. This method can be used in areas with limited water supply. Because of this, it will also extend planting seasons. SRI works best when combined with organic fertilizers and natural pest management techniques. So that SRI methods work well, training and practice is needed in the beginning until farmers increase their skills. Good irrigation methods and water control are also very important. SRI techniques. 1. Early transplanting. Plant seedlings when they have just 2 leaves and the seed sac is still attached. This is usually 8 to 12 days old. Sometimes up to 15 days, and in colder areas could even be 16 to 18 days. Early transplanting gives rice the maximum time needed to root, leaf, and grow. Every day delayed reduces the growth potential, especially after 15 days. Careful transplanting. Number 2, careful transplanting. Plant the seedlings in muddy soil, not in standing water, with the roots about 1 to 2 centimeters deep and the root tips pointing down or across. If the seedlings are pushed into the soil, their root tips will point upwards, and this is not good because the seedling's growth will be slowed or stopped for up to 1 week as the plant recovers. Careful transplanting will reduce root damage and plant stress, while preventing delays in plant growth after transplanting. This will have a big impact on plant growth later on. 3. Plant spacing. Plant the seedlings 1 by 1, not 2, 3, or 4 at the same time. Seedlings are planted in square patterns about 25 centimeters by 25 centimeters in size. Plant spacing can be estimated or marked out using anything which will measure well, such a special rake to define the such as a special rake to define the planting points. Using this side spacing will promote better root and leaf growth. Watering. Number 4, watering and well-drained soil. While the plant leaves are growing, only give enough water to keep the soil moist. Make sure not to water too much. When the rice plants start to flower and form grain, maintain a thin layer of water for all the plants of about 1 to 2 centimeters. As usual, drain the water before harvesting. Well-drained soil will promote much larger root systems. 5. Early and frequent weeding. Start weeding 10 to 12 days after planting seedlings. Use a simple rake or hoe. Weed every 10 to 12 days following until the rice grows large enough to shade all of the ground, forms a canopy. In experiments, Every weeding increases the rice yields per hectare till up to 1 ton. Frequent weeding adds air to the soil, which improves root growth, and also removes the weeds which are in competition. Mulch can also be used to prevent weeds from growing. 6. Apply compost. SRI works well without compost or fertilizers, but using natural compost and fertilizers will improve plant growth, improve soil quality, and increase harvest yields. Experiments have shown that organic composts and fertilizers provide better results compared to chemical fertilizers, especially over longer time periods. This is because of improved soil quality, and microbe activity in the soil increases the amount of nutrients in the soil which are available for plant use. Mulch is also very important for providing nutrients and increasing soil biota. Using EM, effective microorganisms, will also help to improve results. These techniques give good results for plant growth because healthy root growth leads to healthier stalks and leaves, larger rice grains, and stronger, larger seedlings. Using SRI. Farmers and groups interested in SRI should be experienced or trained in SRI methods before practicing SRI in their fields. This experience can be gained through small experiments on 1 or 2 rice paddies to test the results and compare them with techniques already being used. Working together. Agriculture is dependent on the environment around it, and it affects the environment around it. Therefore, it is important for people and communities to work together in agriculture practices, such as sharing resources like water, labor, and tools. Working together can start from families and community groups, which can lead to national or even international levels. Community consultation. Just a few individuals can possess a wealth of knowledge about agriculture. Sharing and gathering information will help improve agriculture results for everyone. Everyone involved in agriculture production should be part of this process, because most knowledge comes from observation and practice. Women should be involved and need to be included in community consultations because they are involved in many of the daily agriculture practices and hence have a lot of observation and knowledge to offer. This knowledge and information could be the best age and time to plant seedlings, types of pests which are attacking crops, types of natural predators eating the pest, different areas on the land where crops grow better than on other areas and the reasons why. This important information is useful for improving land and crop management. Community participation and understanding. The more people in a community that understand and participate in agriculture development, the more productive and sustainable agriculture practices will become. Issues which require community participation and understanding include water management, crop harvesting and marketing, use of chemicals, waste management, and much more. For example, in water management alone, the following issues may need consideration. What affects water sources and how does it affect the water source? For example, if the water source is a river or spring, land above it affects the water source, and the water source will affect the land below. How can the water source be protected? How can water be collected, for example, from rivers, making wells, or water pumps? How can we direct water, for example, using pipes or water trenches? How should water be divided between all the people who use it? Who will pay the costs for building irrigation systems? How will irrigation systems be maintained and repaired? If farmers and community groups know and understand these issues, it will be possible to find solutions together, and then the benefits received will also be enjoyed together. Benefits could be: water is shared in the best way, costs are reduced, management and maintenance becomes easier. All factors upriver and downriver are considered together. The environment and water quality can be protected and improved together. Working with neighbors. If people work together in a community, the whole community will benefit. Working together with neighbors is important and will benefit everyone involved. Avoid all forms of competition and jealousy. This is useful and beneficial for the future. Community cooperatives or farmers groups. By forming a cooperative, the following benefits will be achieved. Resources can be bought for less personal expense. Harvesting, storing, and marketing produce will become easier and more efficient. There will be a place for sharing knowledge, labor, seeds, tools, and other agriculture products. Community assets will be protected and conserved. It will be easier to be heard by other groups because the government and large organizations are more likely to listen to a group of people than an individual. For more information about community cooperations or farmer groups, see Module 13, Cooperatives and Enterprise Development. Working with nature. Agriculture practices which work in harmony with nature will provide better results, especially in the long term. There are many techniques which can be used to work with nature and not against nature. A good example of working with nature is to plant crops during the wet season. It is best to plant crops when the rain has already come 3 or 4 times at the beginning of the wet season. Planting before this often causes crops to grow smaller because there can be breaks between one rain till the next rain. Planting at the right time will achieve maximum crop yields. Post-harvest storage and use. Post-harvest is a time when there is a lot of food crops, and there is also a high potential for these crops to be wasted or lost. This could mean large income losses. There are some things which can be done to reduce these losses. For example, for beans and other dry grain produce, make sure to harvest at the right time. Make sure to separate seeds from plant materials as soon as possible. This will reduce insect problems. Dry produce properly. If produce is stored when not dried completely, it could rot. Store produce properly. Use dry, secure containers which are protected from insects and mice. Lid, seeds, ash. Natural protection from insects. Insects can be a problem when storing harvest crops. Natural material can be used to protect crops from insects. Some of these natural materials include kitchen ash. For storing large amounts of grains, add 2% of ash to the weight of the grains to be stored. For example, for 100 kilograms of grain, add 2 kilograms of ash. For small containers, add a 1 centimeter layer of kitchen ash at the top and bottom of the container. Don't use ash from rubbish fires. Tobacco leaf. Use old, dried tobacco leaves and only use for large storage containers. Add a 2 centimeter layer of tobacco leaves on top of the grains in the container. Be careful using tobacco leaves because they are very strong. Gliricidia leaf. Add a layer of about 2 centimeters of dried Gliricidia leaves on top of grains to be stored. Neem leaf. These leaves can be used fresh or dried. For large containers, add a 2 centimeter layer of neem leaves on top of the grains to be stored. For smaller containers, a 1 centimeter layer will be enough. Fruit peels. Lemon, lime, grapefruit, or orange peels will effectively repel insects from stored produce. Eucalypt leaf. Use 10 to 20 fresh or dried and crushed eucalypt leaves. Spread them over the grains that will be stored. For fresh produce like tomato, lettuce, beans, and cabbages, harvest at the right time. Produce which must stay fresh should be kept somewhere cool, dry, and protected from insects and animals until it will be eaten or sold. Spray vegetables with water to keep them moist. Transport the produce carefully. Keep in a cool place, away from sunlight, and avoid bruising as much as possible. Store in a clay pot with a damp cloth on top. The produce inside will stay good for many more days. For root vegetables like potato, cassava, taro, and yams, it is best if root vegetables are left in the ground until they will be eaten. For selling, harvest as carefully as possible. Cuts, bruises, or any damage will cause roots to rot faster. After harvesting, store root vegetables in a cool, dry place out of the sun and protected from insects and animals. Wood ash can also be used to protect from insects and animals, but make sure to wash them before selling. Carrots are different because if left in the ground for too long, they will become hard and bitter. Store them in sand to make them last longer. Sand can also be used to store other root vegetables. Using excess produce. Sometimes not all the produce can be eaten, sold, or traded, and some will go rotten. But this produce does not have to be wasted or thrown out. Here are some simple solutions. Use solar dryers to dry vegetables or fruits so that they can be stored and used later on. For more information about how to make and use solar dryers, see Module 12, Appropriate Technology. Make sauces, preserves, or jams from vegetables and fruits. Use excess produce as animal feed or as a compost material. Healthy agriculture. Agriculture changes the environment around it. It is very important to be aware of changes which occur in the soil, water, and people. Therefore, you can prevent negative impacts on the environment and make the land more sustainable for you and future generations. Protect the surrounding environment. An important part of agriculture is to protect the environment around it. Rivers especially need protection. Clean water and healthy rivers are essential for our future. A healthy environment will also help to improve agriculture land. Cleaner water will reduce irrigation maintenance needs. A healthy environment will also bring more animals, which are important for people and will add beauty to the environment. Prevent cropland soil erosion. Soil erosion can deplete cropland. Erosion can also cause huge problems for lands below. These problems will continue on to rivers and eventually to the ocean. Soil erosion can be prevented by catching and storing water. Use swales and terraces for sloped land, even on only gentle slopes. For flat lands, it is important to control water flows on higher lands so that the water doesn't build up on the cropland. Use mulch and stop burning. Burning damages soil structure, which makes it easier for soil to erode. It also destroys plants which function to hold the soil together. Mulch protects the soil and improves soil quality, so that produce yields will increase each year. Croplands and areas around which have already eroded need to be replanted. Grasses, bamboo, and fast-growing legumes are best to plant on eroded lands. Beware. Be cautious of chemical pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. They will damage your land and the surrounding environment. These materials provide quick, short-term solutions, but cause serious long-term damage in the future. These materials kill soil biota and cause pollution in rivers, oceans, and underground waters. This is very dangerous for the health of the environment and people. Let's work together. The more individual groups work together to repair and protect their environments, the more areas surrounding will also receive benefits. This kind of achievement is difficult if people are working on their own. By working in groups, people can support each other in reaching common goals. That is, towards improving the quality of the environment while increasing agriculture yields. On a national level, awareness needs to be encouraged and developed from the family level until government levels. Improving agriculture is important for the well-being of our country. That's not just true about Indonesia, but probably any country. The natural environment must be protected. These two goals can be achieved together if good. Appropriate plans and techniques are used. A sustainable future must be planned for as soon as possible if we are to reach our potential quickly.